Namam Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktitirtha Swaminiti Namine Namaste Krishnapadaya Prabhupada Shatatmane Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhaktitirtha Namine Namam Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswadevam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadin Pashyate Desatarine Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Namo Aniruddhaya Hishikeshendriyatmane Namah Paramahamsaya Purnaya Nibhutatmane Swarga Pavarga Dvaraya Nityam Suchi Sade Namah Namah Hiranya Viryaya Chaturhotraya Tantave. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity on this very, very auspicious occasion of being able to connect to Srila Prabhupada in such a profound way. And I'm very happy to be here because of all the sincerity and the focus of the yatra. So it was very enlivening and has helped me focus as well in certain ways. So I was asked to speak a bit about Guru Tattva, and this is in general, and then I would also read an offering. The Guru Tattva, the concept of Guru Tattva, or any kind of Tattva, when we use the word Tattva, the meaning of Tattva is essentially, the essence of Tattva means you have to have a consideration which is absolute for you to be able to understand certain phenomena. It has to be absolute. The difference is that there can always be apparent conclusions that we can reach based on our senses. So by observation, I have a certain conclusion. And your observation could be very different. These are relative considerations. And we could always argue about it back and forth, saying, I'm right and you're right. So when we use the word Tattva, Krishna is saying, you can't really understand me unless you understand me through Tattva. So when we use the word Tattva, we essentially are talking about absolute consideration, where it's not debatable, the conclusion is already laid out, and it has come in through authority, it's based on disciplic succession. So Tattva has a very profound meaning when used in Sanskrit. Tattva means it's absolute. There's no ambiguity. Okay? So this word Tattva in itself has... the word Tattva also has has its mention in two verses significantly. The first one is 4.9, where Krishna says, you can't understand me unless you approach me through Tattva. You can't really understand me. If you try understanding me with your own considerations, you would go nowhere. You have to understand me through Tattva. And then he talks again and he reiterates whom you have to approach. He says in 4.34 of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Jnaninas tattvadarshinaha uses the word tattva again, meaning that if you, and I'll read the translation of Srila Prabhupada, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him, the self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Tattvadarshinaha essentially means Tattva has been visualized, has been actually perceived with their spiritual senses. just as much as you can see me sitting on the Vyasa, I can see you sitting in this room. They have seen the actual occurrence of spiritual phenomena in the other planets. They have understood what is spirituality by direct vision. So this is Tattva Darshan. So Tattvadarshi is the person whom we have to approach for us to be able to learn about Tattva. And then how do you approach him? You have to approach him submissively. And then you also have to approach him with the mood of service. Okay. Before we go further in understanding this verse and understanding how to approach the person, we would have to understand the basis which allows us to even come into a profound, powerful spiritual process such as ours. What is the basis? Shastra talks about 3 different types of good fortune. Sukruti. One is, Shastra says, there is karma unmukha sukruti. Karma unmukha sukruti is the first type of good fortune. Or rather, you can say, it is the first type of credit one would accumulate. Karma unmukha sukruti. This karma unmukha sukruti is, sukruti essentially means good fortune. You can even call it, in a modern parlance, you can call it is the subtle currency with which you can fulfill your desires. Sukruti. You can put it that way. It's subtle currency. Right. So, karma unmukha sukruti is that which is obtained through the actions of karma yoga, where someone says that I have a fruitive desire for which I'm going to perform a certain sacrifice, and that accumulates credits. That subtle currency allows one to enjoy certain things and resolve certain issues based on the currency that they have accumulated. This is karma unmukha sukruti. There's a definition of what you ought to be doing, and there's a definition of the fruit of such activity and what you can do with such fruits. It's currency. If you don't have subtle currency in the bank account, you cannot make it. You can't really convert it into pounds and dollars. You see, you first accumulate subtle currency. This is karma unmukha sukriti. You see? So people who are rich, they have accumulated certain amount of sukriti, and they are converting it because of their desires into active greenbacks or pounds or whatever you call it. Yeah. So that's what is happening. So the point which you're trying to make here is there is an accumulation of karma unmukha sukriti based on people wanting to engage in fruitive activity, wanting to engage in charities, wanting to engage in sacrifice with a certain motive that they can accumulate credits with which they can go higher and have a better experience in life. Yeah? This is one type of sukriti. The second type of sukriti is jnana unmukha sukriti. This is superior. It is superior to karma unmukha sukriti because the jnani, unlike the karmi, is more intelligent. The karmi is thinking that I will accumulate this credit by performance of sacrifices, and then I would enjoy in the material arena. So I would promote myself to a higher planet. I might promote myself to a better situation even on this planet. I will enjoy here. The jnani, on the other hand, has a motive which is beyond the material world, and he says, no, I'm not interested in this nonsense. I'm interested in going beyond the material creation. I want to be liberated. He sees pain everywhere. So he is more knowledgeable than the karmi and he has a better motive. He at least wants to escape the material world. So by doing jnana yoga and certain aspects of jnana yoga, the jnani reaches the point of being able to have enough credits for them to be able to cross the material ocean and liberate themselves. This is jnana unmukha sukriti. They have also purchased a certain amount of currency to buy a ticket out of the material world into Brahman. Okay? This is a jnani's motive. It's superior to the karmi. The third and the most amazing currency which is accumulated, subtle currency, is bhakti unmukha sukriti. Bhakti unmukha sukriti is the sukriti or credit one has which would allow them to enter into the process of bhakti. This is also called agyata sukriti. Why do we call it agyata sukriti? Agyata in Sanskrit means people don't even know they are accumulating this credit. They don't even know that they are accumulating credit which will allow them to enter into a specific, powerful, profound process such as ours. There are some in our movement who have practiced this science for many lifetimes and are wanting to culminate their journey in this lifetime. There are some who have accumulated credits, and you find that devotees who have accumulated credits, they come into the movement and then they take off. There are some who come into this movement and they move laterally. They don't take off. They struggle, they keep walking, trying to take off. but they can't because they don't really have the platform of credits for them to be able to take off. That's the distinction. And the point which we're trying to make here is that this credit of developing and building credits with which you can qualify ourselves to develop the proper desire to be connected to a profound process such as ours comes through service that we do in our motivation. So when you walk into a temple of this kind, when there's a program like what happened yesterday, or when there's a Rath Yatra in a movement, there's your police officer who is trying to be more helpful than he ought to be. He has no knowledge of the science of Bhakti Yoga. He has no knowledge of the objectives of the Rath Yatra. And then he suddenly has something going on in his heart because of some blessing where he thinks, I must somehow help these guys. Maybe I can go out of the way and make arrangements that are required so that they could do what they need to do in a better, profound way. So he goes a bit out of the way trying to make arrangements for us. You see? There was also this incident. Some of you may have heard of this. To give you an example of Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. Very important to understand. When Srila Prabhupada was traveling and he was establishing the movement when he was on the planet, he used to be constantly in flights. There was one such flight where they had not packed prasadam, his personal servants. It was a long journey. They had not packed prasadam. And Srila Prabhupada, he asked for prasadam because he was hungry. And they didn't know what to do. And then they trying to make some arrangement mid-flight for some fruits. Then there was this air hostess who just bought in an amazingly big fruit platter, washed it, made it ready, chose the right plates, just so that Prabhupada could have it. You see, and she did it out of her own accord. She felt good about it. She did it because she saw it was a saintly person. She wanted to assist, and then on the request, she arranged for fruits because they were traveling economy and fruits were available in first class. She made all the arrangements for them to have fruits, especially for Prabhupada. Years later, it was found the same air hostess had retired, and she was in a little village in South America, and she was actually immersing herself in many books of Srila Prabhupada, wanting to visit the centers. She didn't have association. She somehow got in touch with her books and accumulated books, and she was reading, and she didn't have association. And the devotees found her while doing Sankirtan, and she began her journey. The point is, the accumulation of credit occurs where the intentions are not there of wanting to enter into the process, but then without knowledge you enter into it. The same thing happened in the Srimad Bhagavatam as described by in the Srimad Bhagavatam for Sri Narad Muni. Sri Narad Muni, when he was a very little boy, he was the son of a maidservant. Very specific. He was the son of a maidservant, which essentially meant that he didn't have the education or the opportunity for education as someone else would have. He was only 5 or 6 years old, and it was Chaturmasya. During Chaturmasya, the saints don't travel, they are in one place because of the rainy season. For most part it's rainy, plus there are other reasons as well. They stay in one place. So the Bhaktivedantas, the great saintly Vaishnavas, they all accumulated themselves and they were in this ashram where Sri Narad Muni's mother was a maidservant. And Sri Narad Muni served them. And how did he serve them? He served them by accepting the remnants, serving them, giving them some menial service. He had the faith to be able to accept their remnants. He had the faith to be able to accept their remnants. That started the devotional service for Sri Narad Muni. He was initiated, he went all the way back to Godhead. Then that was Narad Muni in the next lifetime. The point is, Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned this as well. Sevon mukhehi jikvadav. Seva has to start with the tongue. You have to start with prasadam and chant the holy names. This is primary seva. Sevon mukhehi jikvadav. Okay, without which you can't move forward. So the point we want to make is Agyata Sukriti or Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti is that where the intentions are not known, but then it happens. So the devotee who comes and then engages in service here and there, not knowing that they do want to engage in service, or this is the process, develop Sukriti, and as a consequence, they develop a credit to develop some interest in wanting to come closer to Krishna. There's an interest. This is the beginning. When there is an interest, then something very special happens. The interest, the deeper the interest, makes them seek sadhus. Although Shraddha, faith is established, and then they're seeking sadhus now. They start seeking sadhus. Now comes the principle of Guru Tattva. The point which I wanted to talk about is Guru Tattva comes in when there is Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti, and Bhakti Devi has blessed a person, and he is attracted towards a goal, and Krishna makes the arrangement to facilitate that goal by sending the proper person. Krishna in the material world has two means to attract us. The first means is his holy names. They're most attractive. The second means he attracts through the means of Guru. Siksha Gurus speak. And when they speak Krishna Katha, Sri Guru Charana Padma, we read about it in Guru Vandana prayers, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Kori Aikya. When they speak Krishna Katha, when they are glorifying Krishna, then that particular Shabda, the words, because their faith is so deep and their experiences are so deep, that experience is being passed through sound into our ears, into our heart, and it shatters material conditioning.
Okay.
And the Chittete Koryaikya, the Chitta, which is consciousness, begins transformation. You see, so the Siksha Gurus attract through their Vani. When they speak, we hear, and that word gets in, it starts developing a deeper level of faith. And then we become attracted. When we become attracted, there can be many Siksha Gurus. Amongst the many, we choose one because the attraction becomes more personal. And that personality whom we choose becomes the Diksha Guru. And there's a formal connection. Now, the Siksha and the Diksha, they are non-different. They are non-different because both are used as instruments to attract us to Krishna. Krishna is entering through their words into our hearts. So both the Siksha and Diksha are on the same platform. They are attracting. They're instruments in the hands of Krishna. And we get formalize a connection through one person, and that's the Diksha Guru, through initiation and so on and so forth. Now, one of the things that we need to understand is that the Jiva is described in Shastra to be very, very piteous. And why is it so piteous? It's because the person, the Jiva, which is us, is searching for Ananda. We are searching for bliss. We want happiness because we are pleasure seekers by nature. You see, we don't want to suffer. We are pleasure seekers by nature, so we are seeking happiness. And our happiness and the search of happiness is compared to the bumblebee. The bumblebee searches for honey. It moves from flower to flower. It works very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And since the bumblebee does not have knowledge, the honeybee does not have knowledge, it approaches a certain kind of flower. That flower is called the Ketaki flower. And the Ketaki flower, by the time the bee approaches the flower to drink honey, to drink nectar, the flower also has certain thorns attached to it. The thorns practically rip the wings of the bee to shreds. And it costs the bee almost its life just to taste a little nectar. So when the wings are shred, and the bee is in such anguish, the bee which is wounded is still searching, and it reaches a lotus flower. The lotus is amazingly benevolent. It opens up and then receives the bee. There's absolutely no thorns. The bee is able to enter into the lotus, and the bee is drinking nectar completely undisturbed. Towards sundown, the lotus shuts up. You see, the leaves of the lotus, the flower petals, they practically unfold, they close up. It traps the bee inside. Now the bee is finding even greater level of nectar, because not only is the bee protected, it's also having a huge storehouse of very tasty, delicious nectar. And the bee is relishing it, and it is completely free of any kind of anguish. This is the reason where we use the word lotus feet of the Guru. The lotus feet of the Guru is compared. Why do we use the word lotus feet? The lotus feet is because when we reach the lotus feet of the Guru, after having our wings being shred in the pursuit of happiness in this world, after being completely torn and being in anguish, we reach the lotus feet of Guru, and then we take shelter. And the Guru's lotus feet are filled with nectar, and there's extraordinary protection, and the lotus and the flowers and the petals close us, and then we feel great comfort. And we kind of are established in this connection. So we use the word, right? Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, right? Shri Guru Charana Padma. Why do we use the word Padma? Is because it has a distinction. Honey is available in different places. Some kind of honey can tear us up, and we would be completely in great anguish, and we would get very little. There's the other kind of honey which is available at the lotus feet of the Guru, where there's extraordinary level of protection, and then there's bliss when we drink that honey and relish the honey. So we use the word Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, we use the word Shri Guru Charana Padma. We always compare the Guru's words as well as his lotus feet as being protective, like the lotus, which is practically protecting this anguish-laden bee which is searching for nectar and is being nourished. So the nourishment comes at the lotus feet of the Guru. Okay? So the point we wanted to make was that Guru's lotus feet is the next step. First, faith has to be established, and there has to be Sukriti. That Sukriti is Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. It is unexplained as to how the jiva gets there, but then it happens. That is the reason for the importance. Someone was asking me about the importance of festivals. Which is more important? I said there's no festival which is more important than Jagannath Rath Yatra. And there's a reason. Because the Lord is going on the street. He is on the street, He is benedicting. And He is distributing mercy on the street, where people on the street are coming in touch in such amazing ways. There's access which is being given. They would never find out where you are in Manchester. But if you go to the main street and you distribute, they can at least see the cart. It is one of the most important festivals. Srila Prabhupada established it because it was very important. When we go around, we go on Harinam, we go on book distribution, then we go and take the mercy to the street. This is the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Then jivas are coming in touch with the movement. And when they come in touch with the movement and render service, they come to our festivals and do a little bit of service, it begins. And once that begins, then the Guru steps in. The more determined the jiva is, the Guru will come in. We learn from Dhruva Maharaj's Katha in Bhagavatam. Great determination at the age of 5. Great determination. So the moment he became determined to chant the holy names, of wanting to seek Narayan, someone had to give him initiation, someone had to give him mantra. Shri Narad Muni arrives. First he detracts him, saying, no, you're unqualified because you're too young. You have objectives which are not proper. When you go back home, you're supposed to be playing at this age. What are you trying to do in the forest? Chanting the holy names and going in austerity. Dhruva literally means determination. He was determined. He said, no, I'm not going to listen to you, practically. I want help. I want help from you. And then Narad Muni gives him the mantra, initiates him, and there's protection. So why was this protection given, and why did the initiation happen, and why did the journey begin? One begins by rendering a little service, develops a little faith, comes in touch with the Diksha Gurus. Then how do you proceed further? It's determination. If you are more determined to obtain what Krishna has to offer, Krishna will make the arrangements. It's organic. It's an organic process. It's not artificial. It would happen on its own accord if someone has deep determination and has very deep aspirations of wanting to move forward. And then the Guru comes and then engages us. This is Krishna who's attracting us. He's attracting us to the means of Guru. So, the second part. First, come in touch. Second part, become very determined. Determination will come when you associate with determined people. The definition of sadhu is very clear in Shastra. There is no ambiguity. There are two different qualities. There is mukhya and then there is tatastha. Two qualities which are described of a sadhu. The secondary qualities of being humble, being well situated, being tolerant, these are secondary. These are tatastha lakshana. The lakshana, which is quality, is tatastha, secondary. Shastra doesn't say that these are all required. Then there is a primary quality which Shastra talks about. And I want to define sadhu so we can identify whom to take shelter of. The first definition of sadhu is the primary lakshana, which is given in Shastra, is the person is completely surrendered to the holy name and understands Krishna. In other words, he wants to obtain Krishna. The person has taken shelter of Krishna, he wants to obtain Krishna, he has taken shelter of the process and he's chanting. Observe the qualities of a person who is following the rules and laid out by the movement. Is he chanting 16 rounds with determination? Is he chanting 16 rounds with determination? Is he also following the 4 regulative principles with determination? Is he also being able to, guide others in certain ways by speaking Shastra, and does he have a regular touch with Shastra? That is the definition of sadhu, because he's taking shelter of Krishna. The secondary qualities of humility, of tolerance, and so on and so forth, which is all required, would automatically come because the holy names are there. It would come. It's a matter of time. So the movement, and our movement, and practically Shastra is saying, don't go looking for humble people. Because a humble person is wonderful. But if he is not have Krishna, he does not have Krishna as the objective. If he is not chanting, and if he is not engaging in seva, then he is not considered a sadhu. You can't really consider him a sadhu because he's not going to give you the determination that you need. Association means that we need to associate with those who are fixed up so that we get determined. This is association. Not with people who are at a situation where they're struggling themselves, where they can't inspire us. You have to seek association which is of higher platform. This particular determination then results in our further moving towards Krishna. And the Guru then gives us benedictions and becomes a guide. Okay? So the point we wanted to make was the arrangement which is being made is so wonderful. This is an arrangement which is being made which is so profound, which is so wonderful, that this arrangement is organic. Krishna takes care of us because we are focused on a certain goal. We just have to understand it. If we focus on the precepts given by the acharyas, help is available. All kinds of help is available. Everyone sitting here in the Acharya Varga are available today. Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone are accessible. Every one of them. Help is available. All we need to do is become fixed up in wanting what they want us to do. It's like an errant child wants to do what the father wants it to do, and the child becomes dear to the father. The father makes all kinds of arrangements. This is all we need to do. So the Guru Tattva is all about us becoming determined in what the Guru's objectives are. The Guru's objectives are to serve Krishna. When we become determined to serve Krishna, primarily start with honoring prasadam and chanting. Sevon Mukhehi Jikvado. If that is done nicely, everything else will happen automatically. If there are devotees who are struggling to chant, examine your heating habits. Because this is Shastric conclusion. Examine whether you are in touch with prasadam. If you're not in touch with prasadam, you're going to have a struggle in chanting. 100%. This is Shastric conclusion. Okay? And I have 100% faith in Shastra. Yeah, I just live for it. So I speak like that because of the fact. Anyway, the point which I wanted to make here is you just have to do that, and automatically we go to the step of being able to receive the next benediction, of coming in touch with someone who is well situated, who has been sent by Krishna. So when we become attracted, pay attention, this is Krishna who is attracting you. So what is it which is going to allow us to be attracted? Shravanam. Shravanam. Hear, listen to classes, please. We have so many facilities, amazing facilities for us to come in touch with sadhus here on a regular basis, because that's going to allow us to be able to open our hearts and get the link, if you're not linked, or to become more determined. The more determined we are, it'll open up. It's a storehouse. It's going to open up. And remember, once we are in the lotus feet of Guru, the lotus closes up. We are well protected. It is such security to just be here. I was just experiencing this for the last 2 days. When you live with devotees, it's wonderful. But when you live in a temple, it's different too. It's completely different. When you live in a place which is dedicated for the purpose of propagating the mission, you feel different. You feel completely different. You feel a different kind of energy. You see? It's a different kind of energy. It's a different vibration, because people who come here will come with a single motive, and that leaves certain impressions. And I was just feeling that this is just so wonderful. So we are very sheltered. We are very protected by Srila Prabhupada and his sincere servants. Disciples, grand disciples. We are very protected in this movement. And all we have to do is go for the nectar, and then we would receive it. So I will just stop here. And before I get out of the Vyasa and allow everybody else to participate, I would just like to read. And what I thought was, I don't have much to offer personally. I really don't. In the sense that I was just reflecting on it. What do I ask Srila Prabhupada for on the Vyasa Puja? What do I ask Lord Chaitanya on his appearance day? What do I ask Lord Nityananda on his appearance day? I simply ask that I can remain in the association of devotees, and I can chant, and I can come in touch with Bhagavatam. in a very profound way. This is my desire, because if you desire the principles that allow us always to remain under the shelter, then everything else is going to follow. So I asked for it. But instead I thought, in the morning I missed out on it. Instead I thought, instead of my reading anything from, which was written by me, I would read from the writings of my spiritual master. This was his last Vyasa Puja offering in 2004. Before he left the body, he left for the spiritual world in 2005. So this was his last Vyasa Puja offering. It was very profound. It practically changed the course of his life. It just changed the course of his life. It changed many, many souls just after that. So I just want to read it, and I found that this is something which everybody would be able to appreciate and also gain from. My spiritual master is His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Krishnapad. So I'm reading from his offering to Srila Prabhupada of 2004. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you as our eternal father and grandfather. I would like to have written you this very simple but meaningful offering this year. Okay. Dear Srila Prabhupada, you have given all of us so much that we can never fully repay you, but we can only make some small attempts. Where would we all have been if you had not come into our lives? If we had material success without you, this would have increased our illusions. If we had material failures without you, this would have increased our confusion. You have given us such an awesome family. We are so colorful and diversified in every way. This creates wonderful challenges, adventures, and so many wonderful opportunities to serve each other and to serve others together. It is so wonderful to see how your real leaders are so determined to remain loyal to you at any cost. It is so exciting to see how many are maturing more as first-class sadhus. It is amazing how, although we may fight amongst ourselves, when it comes to protecting your house and your legacy, we stand united. It is even more astonishing how you are beginning to call some of your leaders and followers back to you to join you in the eternal service to you. You have captured their hearts and they have captured yours. However, dear Srila Prabhupada, many of your disciples and grand disciples, as well as Gurukulis, are stuck with so many anarthas. As bad or worse, some are experiencing great suffering even more than before they joined Krishna consciousness. For now, they have so much knowledge, but too many bad habits, attachments, fears, and lack of faith. So now, I'm 55 years old. I never expected to live this long. You have given me a wonderful Krishna conscious life. I've experienced practically everything I wanted to experience in material as well as spiritual arenas. I have even just finished another 35 country world tour in your service. So, in the mood of Vasudev Datta, I would like to ask you, can you arrange that their sufferings come to me so that many can be freed from their anguish and thus joyfully serve you and return to Krishna with fewer encumbrances? After all, I and many others have procrastinated in so many ways in our full surrender. So in this way, you will force me to fully surrender while helping many others. Only if you force me to become a pure son will I be of any significant value for your mission. Prepare me to become a divine slave who is fully captured by your and Radha and Krishna's love. After all, I asked all the devotees around in the world in the year of 2004 in Mayapur at the Panchatattva installation to pray with me. This is his daily prayer. I'm interrupting. This is what I want to say. This is his daily prayer, which we as disciples also recite. One of the essence of this prayer is it's aligned with the conclusion of pure bhakti given by Srila Rupa Goswami, where he says, Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavratam anukulyena krishna anuchilanam bhaktiruttama. Uttama bhakti is devoid of fruitive desires. It is devoid of even wanting to end our suffering. We want to focus on wanting to serve Krishna's, desires. So this is aligned with it, but it's in very plain, simple English. So one of the effects that I experienced after I started chanting this prayer was I experienced some acceleration in my ability to chant. So this is a prayer that he does every day. And he asked everyone during the Panchatattva installation in Mayapur to do this prayer on a daily basis so that Prabhupada could help. After all, I asked all the devotees around the world in the year of 2004 in Mayapur at the Panchatattva installation to pray with me. This is the prayer. Whatever we need in order to be better servants for Srila Prabhupada's mission, let it happen or come to us. And whatever we need to have taken away to become pure in Srila Prabhupada's service, let it be taken away. It is so simple, but it is extraordinarily powerful and effective because Srila Prabhupada responds. He responds to this prayer. He takes away our anarthas and bestows upon us spiritual power so that we can make some advancement and also assist others. So, continuing my Guru Maharaj's letter. So in this spirit, I submit my offering to you for the year 2005. I want to try to give back. So much I owe to you and have received from you. I have 1 year to fully present and mean this offering. Or will you, dear Srila Prabhupada, see fit to accept this offering for this year of 2004?
Hare Krishna.
Your son, slave, Bhaktitirtha Swami.
Bhaktitirtha Swami Krishna Pad ki.
Yeah. What was so amazing was, it's not going to happen to every one of us. So please don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. He made this offering for Prabhupada in 2004 and said he'll take on the suffering of everybody else who are struggling. And when he made this offering, one expects that Srila Prabhupada, he just made a 35-country tour. And he thought Prabhupada would increase his touring to 70 countries perhaps. He would go and he would have the energy and the ability to do whatever he can. And instead, within 2 or 3 months in August of the same year, he was diagnosed with melanoma. He was a very healthy person. People who have seen him and have danced with him know exactly who he was. Extraordinarily healthy. You can't keep up with him. He would dance for 4 hours during the Rath Yatra. He would. In blazing sun in New York City, people can't keep up with him. He was a very healthy person, and within 4 months after making this offering, that Prabhupada, I want to take on the suffering of others. There are so many of your disciples, devotees, your disciples, grand disciples, Gurukulis who are suffering. I want to take the suffering so they can make some advancement. He got melanoma. His right foot was amputated. He was put in a wheelchair. It is so bewildering. Here's a person who wants to tour 35 countries and wants to preach. And then he tells Prabhupada, I want to help your mission. And please let me take on the suffering. And let me be able to do more for your mission. And Srila Prabhupada practically puts him in a wheelchair. Takes away his foot. He became, he was such a dancer. He takes away one of his feet. He was amputated. And the melanoma. And then something else happened. All in a sudden, the doctors, within a matter of 2 months, found cancer all over his body. All over, the bones, whatever. He didn't realize he had cancer of the bones either at the time. He didn't know that one day when he just was in a hospital in a wheelchair, he just bent down to pick up his suitcase and there was a snap and a terrible pain and he found the collarbone had broken. He didn't realize that the collarbone had become so brittle. And all of this in just 3 months because he just wanted to take on the suffering. So Prabhupada really used him. And what we found as disciples was that there was a very big change in our lives after that event. And there were many, many, many disciples, devotees, grand disciples. There were so many devotees, including Prabhupada disciples, who all felt so many different changes because they all came and met him. There were many thousands who had joined the movement in the early days of the movement in Srila Prabhupada's time. They all left because of various reasons. Surprisingly, people had not heard from them for 20 years, 30 years. They all came back and they started meeting him when they heard about this. So it was almost as if he was practically bringing back people who had left, who were disillusioned, and so many different things were happening. And it was an extraordinary 1 year, 2004, 2005, before he left. It was very profound. The point which I just wanted to make, and a reason for my reading this, was of twofold. Number one, there is a response to our prayers. Personal prayers are very powerful. There's a response to it. There is a response. So do please, please, please make an attempt to offer daily prayers to Srila Prabhupada. Ask him, talk to him. Very available. He's very available and very, very amazing in terms of his responses. The second point I also wanted to make was there are so many amazing arrangements that are being made in our movement that it's just glorious to just be a part of it. It's glorious just to be a part of it. There are so many examples. There's so many amazing things that we can do. So I would just like to end with this. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but this is Prabhupada's mercy. This is Srila Prabhupada's mercy. You see, it's Srila Prabhupada's mercy that I can come from America and I can walk into Manchester and I haven't seen practically any of you before, and then I can become very close in a matter of a couple of hours, and then we can enjoy, prasadam together, and then we make plans to stay in touch for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
You see? Isn't this amazing? Isn't just amazing that, you just get to do it and it never happens anywhere else? And there could be many, many reasons for which we would never meet. Practically outside in the world, we probably don't have anything in common for even to meet in some cases. But Srila Prabhupada has just made this arrangement where we can all come and then we can meet, and then we want to keep in touch and we become friends, and then this is it. See, this is just so amazing. You can't really fathom how amazing Srila Prabhupada has made this arrangement for us. You see? We could be so different culturally, we could be so different in our habits, so many different things, but then, we just have to accept what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and immediately we become so close. And it's just amazing. It's very fascinating. Yeah, it's just fascinating to just be a part of this movement. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai Gaura Premanande.